Hello everyone, and welcome back to Tully Talks, and today we're going to be talking X-Force number 27. Now, if you remember from our last episode that we're covering X-Force, we had a character by the name of Rainfire, Prison Break, 4 members of the former Mutant Liberation Front that was led by Strife. Now this is going to be the follow-up of that and the Rainfire story. But before we get into it, I want to thank you for stopping by. I hope that I've earned your subscription today. If I did, you can hit that red subscribe button down below. Hit all on the notification bells. Like, comment, share, and all that beautiful YouTube stuff. And again, give me one of your favorite X-Force members or New Mutant members, or anything related to X-Men. What's your favorite X-Men? Who's your favorite mutant? Who's your favorite villain? What's your favorite story? Write it all down below. But let's not waste any more time and get right into it. Now on the cover of this X-Force, we see Boomer, Sunspot, trying to protect Cannonball. It seemed like he was shot with this psychic arrow, so to speak. And even though that figure is covered in shadow, it's made us to believe that it's Daniel Moonstar, a former New Mutant member. And we've discussed her and her connections with the team before, when we went over the New Mutants movie and various issues of X-Force at this time. So let's get into it. Let's see what happens. The name of this issue is Liberation Through Subjugation, and we see Wild Child of the Mutant Liberation Front taking on a guy here that he's about to attack. We also see the Mutant Liberation Front here. At the home, it winds up being Peter Gyrick. He's a very, in the Marvel comics, he's a very well-known anti-mutant person. He uses his anti-mutant sentiment to want to protect humans, because he feels like there's too many dangerous mutants out there to just leave it up to the X-Men. So the Mutant Liberation Front is at his house to try to interrogate him, kidnap him, or what have you. Tempo's here. Reaper, Wildchild, Forearm. We're going to see throughout the issue 2 some sort of discrepancy between how they approach missions, because Tempo's not going to be too big on killing. Forearm's not too big on that either. They just want a better life for mutants. And so we see them going against these rent-a-cops, so to speak, to try to get to Peter Gyrick. But we see Peter Gyrick releasing a biosentry that he has helped create to try to help go against mutant attacks. Mutant Liberation Front is trying to take him down. He's using part of his cybernetics to protect him from some of these powers. But at the end of the day, when Tempo is almost captured, that's when we see the biosentry known as Hardaway being attacked by something, and we find out that it's Daniel Moonstar and this other new member of the Mutant Liberation Front known as Locust. Daniel Moonstar's power in the comics is when she hits you with that psychic arrow, she will make you relive all of your worst fears. So his worst fear was, or where his worst reality was, that his wife and son died from some mutant attack that happened, and that's why he signed up to do these type of things to go against mutants, because his family was killed in a mutant attack, and he's let it to overtake his life. We see Tempo again explaining how she doesn't like this approach. She doesn't like being used to see how well they do as a team. She doesn't want to be a pawn. The Forearm agrees with her, but Wildchild and Reaper seem to be okay with being used to some sort of effect. We see then we're gonna continue to move on towards getting Peter Gyrick. We have a little conversation before that about, again, the approach on things. If you don't like the approach on how we're doing things, then you can leave. Even Locust had said, then go get a job at Pizza Hut and watch some TV if you don't like how we're doing it. Or go do your own thing. Which at that point, it seems like Tempo is going to have to make a decision. And I also like that, even though the title here is named X-Force, we're concentrating on quote-unquote the villains a little bit. And not everyone who's portrayed as a villain is necessarily a villain. They do have their own ideas, and maybe they do approach things differently. But it seems like Tempo is not, and Forearm necessarily don't want to like kill. They just want mutants to be left alone. That's why Forearm even here is telling Peter Gyrick, like, you dare try to say we're animals when you do what you've done to this person, making him more machine than man. And he's going to have, Peter Gyrick's going to have another conversation later on with Rainfire that's similar. Then we pick up between a meeting happening between Val Cooper, Forge of X Factor, Professor Xavier, and Nicolas Cage. That's how old Nicolas Cage. Should I say Nicolas Cage? Nick Fury. That's how old school Nick Fury looked. So if you're wondering why you're not recognizing Nick Fury, if you're only familiar with the African American bald Nick Fury, this is what Nick Fury originally looked like in Marvel Comics. They're talking about how Peter Gyrick was captured. Who are they going to send in to rescue him? The X-Men just came back from a mission, so they're going to be too beat. X Factor, it can't do it because it's going to go against their public image. So we see X-Force standing up to really go do this dirty operation, which I've mentioned before. X-Force was always that wet works type of scenario team where if you want something done, you send in X-Force, and that means you're sending in the stealthiest, the most powerful mutants that can help you out. Then we pick back up at the Mutant Liberation Front headquarters, where we see Tempo flying away. She's complaining about how Wildchild had beaten Peter Gyrick during an interrogation. And then we see Daniel Moonstar questioning her, why are you here then if you don't like our methods? I'm here to try to make mutant kind better. What are you here for? And so Tempo again has some issues to work out. She doesn't necessarily seem to be wanting to be a terrorist, but for the sake of your people, are you willing to sacrifice that part of you for the benefit of others? Then we have Rainfire here talking to Peter Gyrick about how they're not so much different. They're both trying to protect their people through certain ways. But the blame game is getting passed on to humans and then to mutants. And Peter Gyrick even mentioned at some point, whether it be by accident, by birth, or unintention, being a mutant is still a dangerous thing to other people. And, I'm only here to try to protect humans. But Rainfire's last point to him was, well, didn't you have facilities that you were trying to take away the X mutant, the X gene, and wouldn't that be considered genocide? So you're trying to tell me that something that can be considered as genocide, that you're going to be a good person? No, you're just like me. You're of questionable character because you want to do what you think is best, and even if it's hurting others in the process. Then we pick back up at the Mutant Liberation Front headquarters, and we see 3 different teams getting ready to attack. And we see Richter here on the bottom right say, oh, he got demoted to Team 3. Sunspot seems to be annoyed by that, like, just doesn't matter what team you're on, just let's do the job. So, my theory on Sunspot and Rainfire being the same person isn't necessarily true so far, but we'll see. Cable says, do what you can, try to keep murder on a limit, or not at all. Farrell and Cable will come in a few minutes after they do their initial attack. We see Cannonball building up his energy to crash through the front door. Bulletins. Then they see some movement up on the upper deck there, on the balcony. Boomer, Richter, and Sunspot unleash all their power up on top, hoping they got the person that was up there. But we see Cannonball here get struck by that same psychic arrow that Hardaway got hit with, and Sam is babbling about his family dying, being alone, and that's his fear, being alone and watching all his friends and family die. And then they're trying to figure out what happened, and then boom, Moonstar comes up, Danny, and everyone's shocked, like, what are you doing? Why are you attacking us? What the hell is going on? But we won't find out any more of their interactions until next issue. Then we see the team of Shatterstar, Siren, and Warpath. They come across Forearm. Warpath and Forearm go at it. But as they're doing it, Siren and Shatterstar go forward. They come across Reaper, which Shatterstar and Reaper must have faced each other beforehand, because Shatterstar mentions about taking his hand, which, if he did take his hand, Reaper might have gotten it back somehow, like some sort of cybernetic replacement. They're going to town. You see them sword fighting, and finally Shatterstar gets the better of Reaper once again. But he gets told to chill out because Wildchild has got Siren by the throat, and if he doesn't let go of Reaper, he's going to take care of her. Finally, we see Cable coming across Peter Gyrick, as Farrell was able to sniff him out. And Gyrick is like, oh, I thought it was going to be the Avengers or X-Factor coming. And Cable makes a joke about how it takes a group of terrorists to get a group of terrorists. But before he's even able to get Peter Gyrick out of the Peter cell, before he can get Peter Gyrick out of the jail cell, he is attacked and pretty much taken down at the moment by Rainfire. And Rainfire offers him to join him or basically perish. And we probably know how that's going to turn out. But yeah, that's X-Force 2027. We're going to see how the current team reacts to facing a former team member as an enemy. I thank you so much for stopping by again. Again, if I can ask for your subscription, hit that red bar down below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. You can find me on Facebook under the handle Bartholomew Tully. You can find me on Instagram, Tully Stirring the Ship Hot, with underscores between each word. And don't forget, if you are not a subscriber, subscribe today, because I'll be giving away, I'm doing a giveaway at 25 subscribers. It's going to be some comics I'm giving out. So yeah, subscribe, because that'll be the only way for you to win some free comics. But until next time, thanks again, guys, and peace, Nickums.